Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some very fun battles in the Great League featuring XL Level 50 Loudred. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Loudred is a pure normal type Pokemon with the moveset of Bite, Stomp, and Disarming Voice. And with a moveset like that, it's going to need all the help it can get. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out XL Loudred in action in the Great League. Dream lead in the first match, Medicham into Obstagoon. Opponent save switches into a Shadow Nidoqueen, which is going to be met with a Diggersby. And Diggersby has a dominating matchup here. Diggersby does not have to shield the first move and is easily going to be able to reach the Earthquake. Farms up and goes for the Fire Punch bait, hoping that the opponent is going to commit the shield, and gets the shield. That's massive. Diggersby able to reach the Earthquake. Does the opponent want to give up both shields? They do not. And Diggersby able to win switch advantage and shield advantage. Opponent is going to wait the switch clock and bring back in Obstagoon. Obstagoon goes for the counter down, but not before Diggersby is able to reach one final Fire Punch. Get some chip damage in the back. It's a Trevenant. In comes Loudred. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Great lead in the next match, Medicham into Bastiodon. Opponent save switches into their own Medicham, and he needs to stay in here. Unfortunately, his backline gets absolutely shredded by counter, so he needs to stay in, win switch, so that way he's going to be able to align his Diggersby onto their Bastiodon in the endgame. Opponent went for the power-up punch bait, and that is going to cost them, as now he can just fire off Ice Punch after Ice Punch, and they decide to let it go. His Medicham remains incredibly healthy, and it's a Shadow Victory Bell in the back. Medicham able to reach an Ice Punch. This would not be enough to KO, but would do a ton of damage. Victory Bell is going to commit the shield. And now in comes Loudred. Look at the bite damage onto the Victory Bell. Oh my goodness. Victory Bell not having a great day. They Acid Spray. Loudred able to bite down. In comes Bastiodon, and in comes the Diggersby. Bastiodon still trying to play it out, but there is no shielding situation where Bastiodon is able to beat Diggersby. Diggersby lands the Earthquake, reaches the Fire Punch, and that will be game over. Fire Punch taking down the Bastiodon, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a very tough lead, Medicham into Trevenant. Has two better responses in the back, but choosing to stay in to start and go straight for the Ice Punch. Trevenant did just receive the energy for the Shadow Ball. Ice Punch gets the shield, goes for the catch onto Loudred, but Trevenant holds onto its energy and responds with Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk farming up a ton of energy. Loudred going for the Disarming Voice. Anything it throws is going to be resisted here. And at this point, I think we just let the Loudred go. Loudred actually is going to live the Rock Slide. Opponent had enough of the Earthquake, decided not to throw it, and now they're forced to go for another Rock Slide. And this does set up Medicham for a very nice farm down. Medicham is going to have to shield up the Earthquake here, but outside of that, should be in a pretty nice spot. Should leave with some energy loaded. We know that they have moves on the Trevenant and switches in the Diggersby. Did Diggersby catch the Shadow Ball? Yes, it did. What a catch. And Diggersby has Fire Punch. Opponent went for the catch, and they bring in Bastiodon. He did get a refund, but I don't think it's going to matter because you need an Earthquake to KO the Bastiodon anyway. Diggersby is going to be able to close out this match, no problem. Bastiodon goes for the Stone Edge, and that's just not going to be cutting it, as Diggersby should be able to get to the back-to-back Fire Punches here, and if it's not, Medicham has the Ice Punch loaded. Diggersby goes for the Fire Punch, gets the shield, loses CMP to Trevenant, but that is fine, because Medicham has the Ice Punch loaded. What was a terrible lead to start the match ends up being a good one, as Medicham takes down the Trevenant, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a great lead, Medicham into Walrein. Very nice to catch the Walrein on the lead, and that way it should hopefully free up the Diggersby in the endgame. Walrein banks some energy and then brings in their own Medicham, and he definitely has to stay in here. Goes for the Psychic, able to land it, and that does a nice amount of damage. Tough call to make here. He would live a Psychic, but not by much. Lets it go, and it's a power-up punch bait. Oh my goodness. What a call. Goes for the Ice Punch. That gets the opponent low. Should just be able to shield once just to be safe, counter down, and leave with a nice amount of energy. Able to do so. Turns out the opponent was running Pup and Ice Punch, not the typical Psychic. Medicham is going to be able to tank the Icicle Spear here from Wall Rain and should be able to reach the last second Psychic. And this will be taking down the Wall Rain if they decide to let it through. Wall Rain lets it go. In the back, it's Nidoqueen. And Nidoqueen meet Loudred. Loudred doing its absolute best here, trying to get off as much bite damage as possible. Nidoqueen goes for the Poison Fang. Loudred firing off the Stomp. Stomp not going to be doing a lot of damage. Gets a shield and gets the CMP tie. You love to see it. And from here, Diggersby can very safely clean up the Nidoqueen in the back. It doesn't matter what Nidoqueen does here. You don't have to shield a thing. Earth Power is just not going to be enough to KO here. Able to tank it and going for the Fire Punch bait because at this point they're low enough you can probably just land the Fire Punch and Mud Shot down. And that's exactly what he's going to do. And that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Medicham into Azumarill. Not the most comfortable lead ever, but at the very least, Medicham is going to be able to tank a Play Rough and can win the Zero Shield if it's able to land both Psychics. Fires off the first, able to land it, farming up, and Azu is going to be firing off the Play Rough here. Can survive it, but would do a lot of damage, so he is going to commit the shield. Farm up quite a bit. Opponent brings in Sableye, and he's going to respond with Loudred. Loudred absolutely tearing through the Sableye's health thanks to Bite. But the bad news, Loudred definitely not the tankiest Pokemon ever. Looks like Loudred did actually TM Stomp over to Flamethrower as well, shielding up the foul play. Loudred not going to be able to bite all the way down, going to fire off the Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice gets the shield. Sableye trying to win switch, and it's going to be able to do so. That is a little unfortunate. Loudred showing why it's ranked in the bottom 100 on PvPoke. In comes Diggersby. Diggersby is going to be looking for the Mud Shot farm down because Diggersby with energy can be incredibly deadly. Able to tank the foul play. Opponent not able to get to a second move. That is big. We know the Azu does have a little bit of energy here. Are we going to see the Azu or the third Pokemon? They bring in a Kanto Ninetales, going straight for the Earthquake. Opponent calls the bait, and that should be game over. Oh my goodness. Opponent was feeling brave, and that cost them dearly. They shield up the Earthquake, and Azu is going to be firing off a move. Hydro Pump is going to be taking down the Diggersby. Medicham does have the Psychic loaded, and this should be game over, as Psychic is going to be getting that Azu very low, able to counter down, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Medicham into Defense Deoxys, and this is a big problem. Defense Deoxys beats the entire team. He is going to be staying in here with the Medicham and going straight for the Psychic. Even though Psychic is resisted here, it is a significantly more powerful move in terms of base damage than Ice Punch, so it is going to be doing a solid chunk of damage to the Deoxys. Deoxys goes for the Psycho Boost, debuffing their attack, and then they choose to stay in. Unless the Deoxys is also running Rock Slide as their second move, you typically do just want to go straight for the Thunderbolt in this matchup, as by debuffing your attack and staying in, these future moves are not going to be doing a whole lot. Switches in and able to catch the third Psycho Boost onto Loudred. Very nicely done. Loudred tanks that no problem. In comes Umbreon. Unfortunately, that Medicham is very low in the back, so Medicham may not be alive long enough to be able to apply a decent amount of damage onto that Umbreon. Loudred appears to be back on Stomp. I may have these battles slightly out of order. Going for the Disarming Voice, but the opponent shields it. That is quite unfortunate. Umbreon overfarms a ton and is going to fire off the foul play to take out Loudred. Medicham is fairly close to a move, but not quite able to get there. Tough call to make, shielding the Medicham, wanting to get off as much damage as possible, and going to be firing off the Ice Punch. This doesn't do a ton to the Umbreon, but at this point, any damage will help. These counters adding up quite a bit. In comes Deoxys, able to bank a move and bring in Diggersby. Diggersby is going to be able to absorb this Psycho Boost, no problem. Commit to the Mud Shot down, and now we'll have to see what they have in the back, and it's a Shadow Wall Rain. Things not looking good here whatsoever. Diggersby goes for the Earthquake, but loses CMP to the Walrein. Diggersby commits the final shield, goes for the Earthquake. Even if it lands, which it does, it just doesn't do enough damage. Walrein incredibly tanky, and this will be game over. Medicham does have a move stored, but the opponent still has a shield, and Medicham is just too low of health. Goes for the Ice Punch. Opponent catches onto the Umbreon, shields up. Umbreon has a move, and unfortunately the defense deoxes Walrein core just a bit too much, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, sitting Medicham into Obstagoon, an incredibly good lead. Opponent safe switches into Azumarill, and this is tricky. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a great response to an Azu safe switch, so he's just going to stay in to get some chip damage with the Medicham. Psychic, able to land, that is quite nice. Azu is going to be firing off a move. Medicham going to be shielding this up as Play Rough would do a ton of damage, and then in comes Loudred. These bites may be resisted, but Loudred doing his absolute best here. Play Rough, massive damage onto the Loudred. Loudred trying for the Disarming Voice, and it gets there. And this will be taking out the Azu if they decide to let it through. Disarming Voice goes unshielded, and bye-bye Azu. Back in comes Obstagoon. Obstagoon now has an energy lead and a shield advantage, which is definitely scary. Obstagoon is going to be firing off the Night Slash. That's going to be some solid chip damage. In comes Skarmory, and he's going to fire off the Ice Punch so he can burn his Switch Clock and then bring in Diggersby. Thanks to Fire Punch, this is honestly a pretty nice matchup for Diggersby, because from this range, 2 Fire Punches come close to knocking out the Skarmory. They go for the Sky Attack. Diggersby farms up and goes for the Fire Punch on very nice timing. Fire Punch is going to get the Skarmory quite low. Diggersby fires out the second, and at this point, Skarmory has to start shielding. Skarmory is their only hope to win the match, and they don't shield it. Opponent putting their faith in Obstagoon, but with a counter user left alive, that is 100% a mistake. In comes the Obstagoon. Diggersby going to be able to reach one final Fire Punch here. Fire Punch goes unshielded again. Opponent refusing to use shields. Trainer, you have 2 of them. And that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, sitting Medicham into the mirror. With 2 Pokemon weak to fighting in the back, it's definitely nice to catch the counter user on the lead. So he's going to stay in, go for the Psychic, and it looks like he does win CMP in the mirror, which is very nice. Goes for the Psychic, gets the shield, shields himself. The shield shows in front of the opponent for some reason, but regardless, looked a bit weird. He shielded once, opponent shielded once. Not quite sure what was happening there. Firing off Psychic number 2. Looks like the opponent fired off at the same time as well. Gets the shield. Chooses to let it go. Interesting. Choosing to instead take shield advantage. Brings in Diggersby. Medicham is going to be staying in here. Medicham is going to be able to reach another Psychic. Psychic would do a solid amount of damage, so he is going to commit the shield on the Psychic. Diggersby is going to be able to take out the Medicham here. And then you just kind of have to hope that Diggersby is good versus whatever they have in the back. Medicham has been taken out. Opponent taking their time. They bring a Bastiodon into a Diggersby. They must be running double steal. Oh my goodness. Earthquake. Massive damage onto the Bastiodon. Able to take them out. And that is a good game. All in all, some very fun battles featuring XL Loudred. As I mentioned at the beginning, with a moveset like Bite, Stomp, and Disarming Voice, it's no surprise that XL Loudred is one of the worst ranked Pokemon on PvPoke, which makes it even more fun to see a trainer get wins with it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide to the channel is extremely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.